Okay, so as I said before, cockroaches, they don't live in sanitary conditions. So they have this coating that prevents anything from sticking to them.
That's just on their head then, or?
Yeah, it's on the pronotum, so
I thought that was like filing down their head a little bit or something.
oh no. No, they don't feel it. It's like, I don't know, I'm not a girly girl, I don't know that much. I don't know if you've ever like done your nails. Supposedly with your nails you're supposed to like buff them or whatever, and you like take off the outer.
Wrong audience for that.
So it's not like brain surgery, it's just
No. There has actually been other research out there that instead of going in through the antenna, it goes directly in and triggers the ganglia specifically, but it's just easier because, like, technically, okay, I could have gone and I could have done the surgery by going directly in towards the major ganglia and stimulating that specifically, but it's just more work when I can easily just go to the nerves that connect to that part and use the natural neural circuitry in the animal rather than going and making a process that's already kind of inconvenient more inconvenient. But again, the pronotum, it's not head of the cockroach specifically. It looks like the head, but it's like, it has kind of like a hood that covers its head, like this.
yeah.
So it's this part, this is the pronotum. This, all right there, that's a pronotum. And I waxed it, sanded that off in order to stick the connector on.
So that was just for adherence, not for like wires.
It's not for appearance, it's
No,
because if I
grabbing on
Adhere.
yeah.
versus actually like sticking a wire in there.
Yes, because cockroaches themselves, if I just went and I only had the electrodes connected and kind of like had a wire that way, the cockroaches, they clean their antennae, so they'll go and they'll actually pull it out. So the purpose of that connector on there is so that you don't have so much wire as much as it's the stub of the antenna that was there into the electrode directly on the connector. In fact, you actually have to be very careful with how long you end up cutting them. So right here, I clipped the antennae to 6 millimeters. If I did it more or less, I'd run into problems. If I did it less, then there wouldn't be enough slack for the cockroach to turn its head. So when it turned its head, it would pull out the electrode. But if it was too long, and it did have that slack, as I said before, it'll go try to clean it, pop it out. Yes?
So will the cockroaches like eat and like explore what these things are? Because like in your video, it kind of is like sedentary and like kind of just looks like stuck. But like, is it like, I don't know, like I picture bugs as like when they're in the middle of like an open space like that, just like scurrying and finding cover. So is there a behavioral difference between the cockroach with and without this?
Okay, so let me double check that I have your question. So you're saying that in the videos it looked like it was more just kind of sitting there instead of running around?
Yeah, like because I guess when you like brought the stimulus near it, like started walking, but like my I guess this might be slightly biased, but my like view of cockroaches is like you turn the lights on and they all like scuttle away into the corner in the dark, right?
Yeah. And so this is something that's interesting. Whenever you're experimenting with animals, you have other variables that you're bringing in just by doing what you're doing to the animal. All right, let's say I take you, I put you in cold water and I make you fall asleep, and then I go and I put an implant on the back of your head and it goes in through your ears or whatever. If you wake up and that's like kind of like the first thing, or actually no, the cockroaches I can't do testing right after they do that, otherwise they're just completely out of it. I have to wait at least 12 hours.
How can you tell that they're like out of it?
They don't run. They don't do anything. They just sit there and just not
What
sure.
happens? So like if you put the magnet up to them at that point, they would just do nothing?
I tried doing that initially and they flinch a little bit, but honestly what happens is when the cockroach is anesthetized, its whole body is slowed down, so it stresses the animal out and it affects the reflex itself. So the stress, and that's something I found very interesting, just how the cockroach itself, that reflex that naturally happens, the cockroach naturally jumps, that itself, when the cockroach is weakened after the surgery, it doesn't have as drastic of an effect. So your question before was, I just want to make sure I have the answers, sometimes I'll get off track. So your question was that when I did the test of just a regular cockroach, I had it caught, I put it down, and I did the test. I did that for all of them, specifically. I had all of them, and again, that's another benefit of just having that system where I can plug it directly into the cockroach. I can keep the cockroaches with their little electrode connector on their back there with all of the other cockroaches. I can take it out, put it on the ground, plug it in, and let it run. And I could do the same thing, not the same thing, but I could take a natural cockroach, put it on the ground, and let it run. So it minimizes the amount that I'm stressing out, it minimizes the amount of the cockroaches sitting there. But both the natural cockroaches and the cockroaches that had the operation it's funny, cockroaches actually have like different personalities. There's been studies on that, I'm not crazy. But there's some that will respond passively and just try to be still in order to warn off predators, and there's some that will try to run. And that's really just a benefit of evolution. If certain things will work better for different animals. So, any questions?
It's like on the same similar question. It's like maybe it's because there's like a lot of weight on its back, so it
That
can't like
wants to
scurry
sit
around.
there?
Yeah.
It's interesting. That could be why it's sitting there. Just a fun fact. So, for these cockroaches, anytime judges would come over, the reason why I have the video is to prove that the cockroaches can actually carry this device. Because people may actually underestimate cockroaches a lot. You go and you hear, as I said before, ants, they can carry 10 or 40 times their weight. It's very similar for cockroaches. I have photos, I did have it, but it's at my door right now, of these cockroaches with this device crawling up the leg.
Okay, so one, they're jacked, and two, you let them crawl on you?
Yeah, like, what do you mean the leg?
Doing testing in school, if people were not willing of accepting the cockroaches, they had to get out of their room, because if you put a cockroach on the ground, it's going to go where it wants to, so.
You can dorm on this place is called outside. No parking lot.
Too many variables.
Too many variables.
Okay, question.
Yes.
So, you clip the antenna, can they still navigate when the device is off of them, or do they pretty much just bump into whatever's in front of them?
Yes and no. These cockroaches generally burrow more. But when I had the cockroaches, so I'll say this. I had the cockroaches for 5 days with the electrode connector on their back and the electrodes funneled into it. After I was done testing the cockroaches, I snipped off their connections, and they would again begin using their antennae. So I didn't really study it that much. I would say they're probably a bit more clumsy because they prefer on it, but
And it doesn't grow back or anything, right?
no, they can't. But for some of them, I left the electrodes, and they would actually use the electrodes as like prosthetics. So, and once the electrode touched something, they would know that an object was there and they turn away, which I found interesting. So, yeah.
Where does the cockroach feel like the stimulus from the wires? Like, do they feel, or from like the normal antenna? Like, do they feel, like when their antenna touches something, do they feel their antenna move? Like as like a cockroach, or do they feel like, oh, there's this thing here, I have to move away? Like, do you know like how that system works?
I think it's more like a sight. Like, it's more like you don't feel it as if like I'm touching you right now. It's not like this. It's more like when you like get punched in the face. If you've ever been punched in the face, you kind of like go to turn away right before it happens, right? It's like that. It's like, oh shit.
Okay.
It's like just something your brain does.
It's sensitive to the vibration. So if you blast sound at the cockroaches, they'll feel the vibrations, they'll respond to that, or if they touch an object, vibrations will go through. So, okay. I have a little bit more of a presentation to go through, but if there's any other questions like that you want to ask on the operations, kind of like just closing and applications.
Do you know how long it takes for the antennas to grow back?
They don't go there.
Sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about it either. But they have prosthetics.
Okay, so no questions, I'm good? Okay, yes?
When will we have cockroach robots, like these little like kids toys that are robots? You know, you remember like an ant
Yes.
farm when you were little?
Do you wanna leave cockroaches around your kids?
Yeah, tell this to your parents.
Like, did your parents do this to you?
Well, at the time, I was actually, I was living in my grandparents' house, so my mom and my grandparents were there, and I got close to the science fair, and I didn't finish my operations before school closed. So I had to
You
bring
were
the
doing
cockroaches,
them home.
I had to do the cockroaches home, and my grandparents came home and realized that I was doing them on the dining room table, because it had the most light.
Of course.
They weren't so happy about that, but I did well at the science fair, so they got over it.
Oh, that's hilarious. I can hear my mother like shouting at me if I ever did that. What are you doing? Those damn things on the table.
Yes.
Wait, hold up. Oh yeah, how, like, do you have any plans of having like Hall effect sensors that have a longer range? Because it looks like it was pretty close to.
Yeah, these Hall effect sensors, it was only probably about a centimeter. But again, I needed to make sure it was very restricted, so it's not
Okay,
stimulating both
yeah.
of the sensors at once. If I could go and if I had the budget to do whatever I wanted, I wouldn't even continue with Hall effect sensors. So the whole purpose of my project is to make something that's already out, an idea or better than it is. So as I was saying before, remotely controlling cockroaches,
Yeah.
if I could have my way with my system, I would put probably heat sensors or audio sensors on them. And that way they could be implemented in the Minecraft scenarios. So specifically for my research, it actually has an application beyond what was set up by them with rescue scenarios. This is again a little like, not far-fetched, yes far-fetched, but it was actually an application that was suggested by one of the judges at a science fair. They were saying that they could be used to gather intelligence from unreachable areas. So for example, let's say we have something like a nuclear malfunction at an area. The only way you're going to be able to determine the layout of the radiation about an area is by sending in people or machines or something with